Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter pilot precision every day. Last day of 2020, finally, so off to 2021 here soon. If you're catching us on replay, don't forget to not only subscribe, but hit the little notifications bell so you get notified when I put out my new material every day. And if you want to catch us live, you can join us for $25 a month. So something to do for yourself for 2021. All right, today's show, we got a great lineup for you today. We have 5 investing themes going into 2021. What is poised to outperform? These have already kind of taken off after the election, but all 5 have plenty of runway in front of them to continue to do well, not only in 2021, but off into the rest of the 4 years of the Democratic administration. So got that for you today. Others got some other good headline news as well. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back once again. Last day of the year. I'm pretty excited. Hopefully you guys are as well. All right, make sure you have your windows set up as far as your chat and your Q&A. Feel free to be a little verbose this morning. We'd like to hear from everybody. If you want to throw in what kind of plans you have, that also works. To be a little more social this morning. A big night for us. Going to go on a date with Irene and another 2 couples out there to an early evening type dinner, and then basically over to somebody's house till about 9, and then on home for some family stuff after that on in for the actual ringing end of the new year. And I'm going to get a good night's sleep because tomorrow we have to travel to out of town, I'll just say, for a volleyball tournament. Both girls are playing this weekend. So these things we kind of thought all week long it would get canceled. So starting off our new year with sitting in a gym. And if you have kids that do the sports thing, we have one daughter on the morning wave, which starts at 8 a.m. and then another daughter on the PM wave. It starts at 3 p.m. So literally we were looking at a 14-hour day on Saturday into the Saturday in the gym, and then more of that on a Sunday. Yes, unlikely to stay awake till midnight. Predator on another news. Congrats on last night, by the way. That's all I shall say about that. All right, let's go on into making sure we have everything set up. A standard disclaimer applies. Financial education presentation here. So you have to do your own due diligence before you act upon anything you hear in this presentation. Full disclaimer information is available at ototnow.com. All right, as far as tomorrow, there is no morning brief. I will put out a 2020 in review, kind of talking about some investing stuff, some business stuff, some of the stuff like Predator you and I talked about offline yesterday, just kind of, where things are going, kind of put 2020 in the books and open up, the plan for 2021 from not only an afterburner financial time for, viewpoint, but also the on time, on target, what I'm planning for the room next year as well. All right, I want to get rid of this cough in 2021. I think that's my number one goal since I've been working on it for about, 6 months now. All right, mission objectives for today. We're going to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Primarily, we're talking about ways to grow our money in 2021. Yes, the market's bouncing off all-time highs. I am not all that worried that, the crash is imminent. You'll hear every time you're at highs, right? Everybody is, there's going to be plenty of people on CNBC that say the market is going to crash or correct. And it may correct. I don't see a crash other than, Biden getting shot during his inauguration or, some really one-off event that you really can't predict. But as far as a whole, market's kind of on fire. We're recovering from COVID. The vaccines aren't quite as out and into people's arms and bodies as fast as I thought they would be. But I think that'll continue to roll out pretty quickly. Again, if we assign Chick-fil-A to doing that, I think it would all be done in about a week. But they're not doing it. The government is, so expect that it's going to move at the speed of the government. But these are 5 investing themes to where we're still trying to make money and outperform instead of going into protection mode. So if we need to do that, we'll switch gears. But right now, it's just what's going to pay us the most. Yeah, TCOP. My bad on that. I have it on another screen there, Burner. Let's bail on TCOP and go with IPI. Because I couldn't find it either. So, and I don't know why in my notes that it's incorrect. This was incorrect in the presentation I read on the longs and shorts. So skip TCOP and go to IPI. All right. Let's get back to our 5 investing themes for 2021. You see them there at the bottom. You've heard these before, but I do want to recap them for some new folks that are in the room. I haven't talked about these for over a month. Q-Clean, robots, cyber, grid, and marijuana. The big news in marijuana is Mexico legalized. They voted it legalized yesterday. I don't know the effective date. It's probably not immediately, but maybe January 1st or soon. But now when you think of where the U.S. positioned, Canada legalized on 420. That's why 420 is the number for the pot world. Now Mexico's legalized. So it's kind of like out of the U.S., I think, somewhere in the teens, like, 15 to 19 states have some form of legalization or at least decriminalization. So anyhow, right, export to Mexico. Yeah, reverse the Breaking Bad train, if you will. But we'll see. When both borders legalized marijuana, so it's probably going to get legalized here, is my take on it. Okay, short-term market execution. We'll execute that once we get to that point, and then transition to Q&A. The Q&A for today: what's the difference between a market and a limit order? You may know this, but I'm going to recap that. I will also recap stop limit and stop market orders, which again, traders need to know. Not that you use these a whole lot, but when you're setting up your trades, you definitely want to make sure you have the right one in place. If you haven't, you've probably seen the WTF moment when you're like, I thought I was out of this trade, and I'm watching like big red numbers balloon and go, what's going on? Why hasn't it sold? So anyway, we can talk about that. All right, if you have any contingencies, tech support is Steve at OTOTnow.com. That's me, or one of my folks can take a look at things and help you get through that. Okay, let's go ahead and share out the ThinkPipes platform and have our day trading screens set up right now already. Again, Lemonade, we'll go with IPI instead of that TCOP. And I do see my notes as TCPO, but I typed that too and it didn't show up. So I don't know what's going on there. And then Fubo short. So it's kind of left long short. And obviously you see that IPI is pretty thin. So we'd have to wait on that for a second. All right, let's take a look about where the market has been. Again, looking at about a 9-month chart here in the S&P 500. Always good to keep things in perspective. So January 2nd, maybe there's a hangover from the Santa Claus rally. And what if the market drops 10%? Yeah, it's okay, because I don't want that to happen necessarily, but you take 10%, 37 off of this, you're down here 340s, you're back where you were right, just around the election time. It's like, don't sweat it if there's a move to the downside. You can expect that. That's called reversion to the mean. It's basic math. When we peel the numbers back from 2020, you're going to see most people are making like 15, 20%. If you're tech heavy, you could be up towards 40%. If you were tech heavy and had good timing, you may be even higher than 40% last year. So when you have those types of numbers, you should slap a big high five, with yourself or with your financial advisor. But after that, yeah, if things run up so fast, they can come in. So that's why I keep show this chart every day, so you keep that in perspective. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit on our 5-day. That's luck and coffee. Nobody wants to look at luck on a short-term chart because it doesn't look good. Longer-term chart does. So SPY. Let's kick it out to the 5-day. So again, here's this past week. Basically, I'm investing into today, the last day of this week. So it started up yesterday. We had gapped up, kind of sold out throughout the day, and then this morning pretty well sideways and lower volume. A lot of folks are taking today off. Okay, let's go over to CNBC and we will take a look at the headlines. All right. Sorry, the Austin has a new, that's why you see this ad here, is Austin has a new soccer team with an amazingly cool jersey. So I got one of these. It's pretty cool. But anyhow, that's what you see here for the red and green, verde, if you will. Okay, here's our numbers on the day. Pre-market basically flat, but again, low volume. I don't see too much happening today. And if I'm right, there's an early close. I didn't look up to make sure. Europe in the red slightly, nothing really going on there. Again, pretty much, well, Shanghai's up, so China's up there almost 2%. A lot of the Chinese names have bounced. Obviously, many of us are in Alibaba. And if you're not, I tend to say Alibaba is the most undervalued stock in the market, and then it gets crushed, right? I say that when it's at like 240 and it drops to 220 because the Chinese government went after it. Ant Financial is still going to IPO or direct list or spin off or go to under a holding firm or something like that. But Baba honestly is dirt cheap compared to what they do. Look at Baba compared to Amazon. There's no comparison, and Baba's bigger than Amazon. So, mind blown, right? So that's why we have money there. Yes, luck and coffee. The house of pain when your stock goes from $51 to $1. Well, guess what? After you get fined by the Chinese government, the SEC, and now you're coming back from that, and people still say it's a house of cards and it's all lies. You can't come back with lies after being called out by everybody that's important. It's like, so no, this is the real deal. So obviously the stocks moved up from $1 to $8. If you caught most of that, fantastic. It was up over 10 not too long ago. High fives to all our friends on that one. Yeah, I think it's got kind of basically a straight flight path to 20, to be honest. I do think they follow the Starbucks model, and they're in China, and they're tea first, coffee second because of the culture, which is all brilliant. Everything to like about that. And of course, K-Web, and I'm talking to some comments that are in the chat. If you don't see that, if you're catching this on replay, but yeah, K-Web on fire, right? So IQ, you've got Baidu was up over 13% yesterday. That's Chinese Google. So all kinds of stuff to like. All right, we need to continue around the world. Our numbers from yesterday aren't showing up for some reason. Bonds 0.93. I think we do see a 1% on the 10-year going into the next year. 48 on oil, nice and good. Gold had best decade in, not only best year, but best decade in a long time for gold. And then of course the story with Bitcoin, it touched 20, it's not showing here, touched 29,000 last night at some point. So again, Bitcoin millionaires are all slapping high fives as well. Okay, we're going to skip headlines and go right on into our 5 themes. The first one is Q Clean. We'll take a look at. So Q Clean is clean energy. So yes, it's run up huge from $20 to $70. It has more room to run. This includes all kinds of the Luminar, which is laser, LVDR, all the LiDAR technology. It includes the Teslas, but the Blinks, the Workhorse, all of the EV names. If you want it all, get in here. This is the wave of the future. So that's why I say get on board. When you go over to Schwab, we'll start to just look at the other names real quick. You have Q Clean up here in the left-hand corner. Robot is AI, so artificial intelligence, obviously a theme for the future. And it has several things involved in these funds. They generally have 60 or 70 stocks. So that's the place to have your money if you don't want to try to pick individual names, or you supplement individual names with the entire fund. Cyber is cybersecurity. Obviously, that's come into play recently when you have the Federal Reserve and the Treasury and the Commerce Department reporting hacking incidents. All of us that are working from home, I already had a suite in place that I pay over $1,000 a year for cybersecurity to protect my systems, which protects everybody's money. So, if I'm doing it, everybody's got to do it basically in the whole world, right? So a lot of money flowing into cybersecurity into 2021. Grid is a basic infrastructure play. So do expect under Democratic administration, you're going to see a lot more money flowing into infrastructure. That also includes data centers, which are very popular now. MJ, the theme we kind of already talked about is marijuana. So the the legalization on both sides of us, yeah, I think it's going to go across the U.S. And then secondly, the taxes. We are spending a lot of money sending out checks. Looks like the $2,000 check won't happen, but the $600 checks should be out here soon, if not today. And if we're going to give away money like that, we do have to do something with taxes. So is it raise personal taxes, property, or as a nation, personal taxes, or do we tax a sin stock like a sin event like marijuana? So I think that will help aid in the legalization, that and more gambling. And then the last one I didn't put on the main screen, but don't forget, I've been US based for almost a decade. We do need to start looking around the world a little bit more because the US has run up so much. Obviously, I'm the Chinese tech whisperer. I get crap about that all the time. But as I'm getting crap for it, that's usually from people who aren't invested alongside with me with that. So I say, haha, yep, make fun of me, and we'll just make fun of all the money we've made doing that. So continuing to look at China and what we can capitalize on there. But GAA is a global asset allocation. If you don't want to try to pick specifics out of the international community, because there's a lot of them, then you can put GAA into your portfolio and not worry about it too much. Okay, let's go over to TD Ameritrade. We'll get set up for our trades. Here it is popping up. We have Lemonade. This is a long, so I'm going to draw the arrow in here. So we have long, short, and no time to draw the arrow. Let me set something up for myself real quick. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target play of the day. We have 10 seconds to the market open. We have 4 screens in front of you. We have the S&P 500 over here on a 1-minute chart, basically flat as we enter. We have our primary long, which is Lemonade right here. And again, we'll see if it's, once it opens there, where it is moving. Looks like it lost all of its pre-market gains. So stand by on that. IPI is our secondary long. So it's in the heart of our window. So we like that. And then FUBO is moving down, dropping like a rock right now. So again, this is our short for the day. This is a continuation play. FUBO has been selling off hard. Again, this is FUBO TV. Our long thesis for IPI is they had some news on, I believe it's some biotech news that came out. I just wrote news is our reason to take this higher. So as I'm drawing this arrow, I'm still watching FUBO taking off to the downside here. And Lemonade is busted, so we aren't even going to worry about that long. So let's look at another long. That not much was in play this morning. It was kind of a challenging morning. Going off to another screen right now. To look for any other potential longs out there. There's FUBO down 10%. It opened down 6%. So it's too far gone. It would have to back up for us to be able to get an entry there. All right. Let's see. We have, there's just not a whole lot going on today because it's a light market day. There's a Celsius Holdings that is up 11% here. It's had to wait on some volume. It does not appear that it's really moving a whole lot. So again, not enough volume to trade there. Market's about even. Again, this is looks like a big move, but it's not. It's just hugging the entry point there. See what else we have. Ring Central, no. Just not enough volume in a lot of these names this morning to get behind. Last check on the short side. Capri Holdings is short, so let's put that in. CPRI. I don't know what they do, but they were selling off. They were hard earlier. They've kind of bounced back. So, all right, nothing really working there with either Capri or IPI. I don't feel comfortable buying into IPI here just because of low volume. So again, when you look at, so as a trader, so it doesn't look like we're going to trade today unless you scalp this at the beginning. If you did, you already made your 3R and you're back out. If you took Fubo at the open, I didn't. That's okay. Tough day to trade. All right, but when you look at these are millions of shares over here in Fubo TV. So it opened with, what is that, 4.5 million, 4.6 million shares, and another, it's basically a million shares a minute. That is good for trading. When you look at an entirety of 5,000 shares in the first minute, and declining off of that. So again, if you were to take something at a $20 price point with an average R, you could be loading up with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 shares on this, and then not, you're the entirety of the volume when it comes to get out. If you were to go over to level 2 on this, it would just kind of sit there. So, all right, looking at the market down for the first 3 minutes, we'll search some other names that we know of. Let's take a look at Luckin Coffee. Since we talked about it earlier, not really moving too much. Baba, 3 days up since the big sell-off, so it's moving down a little bit, not too worried about it. And check KWeb, probably in the red a little bit, and indeed it is. Okay, let's take a look around the world at the bigger names out there. Tencent Holdings, another Chinese name. Again, a lot of gaming. It's a holding company, so it owns a lot of things. But the Tencent, as far as they were the ones that owned a portion of Epic Games, which was Fortnite. So a lot of cool things going on there. Neo, Chinese EV maker, that's kind of been on fire lately. I know what we need to talk about is here. The ticker LCA we've been following for so long is now officially GNOG. So you see that it's got one whopping day of trading behind it. Because it just this was yesterday when it finally made the switch. So what do I anticipate out of GNOG? If you wanted to day trade it, which I don't recommend, you could go GNOG long. But SPACs, the day that the special acquisition, when they switched their ticker symbols, which today is, I think, the first day. I got the notification overnight last night. So I think this is still LCA yesterday, but I think here was the official at the turn at midnight or so is when officially when GNOG, maybe it was aftermarket, but I think GNOG continues to climb. These things tend to do that. It's almost like an IPO math of it opens up and people can now buy it, and it takes a while for people to discover it, sort of thing. So I expect it to continue higher. If you are a holder of this, which many of us are, I'm going to hold it probably for a while, but I'll be quick to take gains. Remember, we bought this thing at around $10, so not going to ask for the moon here. I don't think it runs up to 30 or anything like DraftKings did. I don't think it has the same power behind it, but I do see it kind of floating higher. So not going to hold it for a while and assess. All right, Moderna, BioNTech, those are our vaccine names. All right. There's Luckin bouncing around in there. Let's see what's down for the day. Nothing down, 3%, nothing's down major. Kind of like nothing was up major today, so hard to find a trade. Laser selling off a little bit, not worried. Palantir, another great name to own long term, not worried. Nicholas kind of back from the dead when you look at their chart. They got down here to 13 and basically ran back up to 16 in a day. When somebody came out and said, the company's not going bankrupt, so it can get out of this. Remember, if you peel back the timeline on Nikola, it did touch 100. Yeah, $100, and then fell all the way down to 13. So that's why if you do get any speculative names, you either have to watch them every day or have a plan on when you want to exit them. Okay. Again, not a whole lot of volume today, so not as much to talk about as we normally would have. Okay, let's go over we'll close out with question of the day. Again, last chance to ask questions for 2020. Pop one in the window there. Okay, the basics of trading a stock. So that things have gone commission free. Now, if you happen to be dealing in, let's talk about that first. If you put an order in with Schwab or TD Ameritrade or Fidelity or Vanguard or Robinhood or whoever you go with, right now we are basically at zero commissions. But you still see a commission sometimes. If you trade in and out of Luckin, it's $6.95 a pop. So that's why you don't really trade those trade pink sheet stocks, because it got delisted, it's over the counter, and it's still going to cost you a full market price. A lot of people don't realize that. If you just click in, if you log in and put in your trade ticket and hit enter, it's going to take that $6.95 and not only charge your account, but it's not even going to let you know that it did it. So there are still some commissions out there if you're doing some non-standard stuff, which Luckin is one of them. Now, as far as a cost basis, it takes that $6.95 and parlays that fractionally across your entire order and then adjusts your cost basis. So a lot of big words there. What does that mean? Say you bought 1,000 shares of Luckin at $8. Well, you would have normally an $8 cost basis. Since you paid a $6.95 commission, you will have fractionally below 8. So it'll be like 7.992 is your cost basis. So it does factor, it does give you credit for that against the price of your stock. So same thing when you sell, it goes around, in the other direction. So you are getting credit for it, but realize you're getting charged along the way. Now, if you deal in options contracts still have like a 60 cents or 65 cents or 35 cents, depending on who you're using, per contract. So if you're, each contract is 100 shares. So if you're in Luckin, where you might be throwing around 20 to 30 contracts, that can add up to something. It's not quite free, is what I say it. Generally, that is friction. That is not necessarily even big enough to really worry about. It's kind of like sweating taxes when you're making a ton of money. Well, yeah, if you make a ton of money and things are doubling and tripling and it's in a taxable account, yes, you have to sell to take some profits off the table. And yes, you will pay taxes on that. It's part of the friction that goes into investing. You try to be smart about it, but you don't want to not make money because you don't want to pay the taxes, right? That's like passing up on winning the lottery because you don't want to pay millions in taxes. It's like, now take the tax problem. Okay, let's talk about the orders. We'll talk about the basic market order, limit order. Now, if you put a market order in, which I do this quite a bit, if the spread, remember that's the difference between the bid and ask price, is within 1 penny or less, and I'm putting in an order for like 1,000 shares or less, I'm just going to use a market order. Just put it in, it'll fill at whatever the current price is, because it has the volume of jumping around. Now, one of you happened to see me the other day. You were actually there live with me when I put in a 7-figure order, $1 million order into one position. Okay, I'd never done that before. This was about a week ago. I'd never done that before. Some new money came in, talked to the client. They said, yep, we're going heavy into this position, and $1 million into one position. Well, you don't put a market order in there because it will just simply buy. If you've seen the level 2 charts, it'll simply buy the first $1 million of whatever price they have listed of orders that are sitting in there. So you have no idea what you're going to get. So when you put in big orders, or you're putting in an order into a position that is not heavily traded, you want to use a limit order. And by that, you simply set a price and it will fill at that price. And if it doesn't hit that price, it won't fill. So you may have to adjust that price down if you don't get all of it that you want. But I put in a limit order for 7 figures. And again, it took through most of the day to fill, but I wanted to make sure I got my price that I wanted to buy at, and not a penny more. So there are times, if you're looking at, say, Alibaba right now, say it's at 240 today, it was just down at 220. You could have a limit order in there at 200, saying you want to buy 100 shares at 200, and you just leave it open. Good till canceled means it'll stay open. It won't stay open forever. It'll stay open for 6 months. But you can put that good till canceled order in there, and you just wait for it to fill. And if it never hits 200, then it simply doesn't fill. Right now, it'll count towards your allocation, so it's not quite free because you can't now tie up that money with anything else. So it has to sit in cash and wait for that, which is a cost. But I mean, it's an opportunity cost, not a direct cost. But that's how some people put folks in there. It's just like when Ford Motor was having its trouble, it's like put a $5 order. If it ever hits 5, I'll take the shares no matter what got it there. That sort of thing. So that's how you can use market orders and limit orders. When I trade, I generally keep my finger on the trigger. So think of a gun and finger on the trigger. If you're watching it, that's a market order, and I simply just mark it out. The only times I ever trade are here in the room. So it's the first 10 minutes of the day. For folks that trade all day long, because they're professional traders or junkies, if you will, they can't sit there and stay with their finger on the trigger the entire time. Right. So then you have to put your stop limit orders in. That's what I recommend for you all is certainly getting the upper stop in so it executes automatically. Or if you're ever going to take your eyes off it, you have to put something in because if you go to the restroom and come back a minute later, that could be thousands of dollars if something happens. So you have to be diligent about putting your orders in. Okay. Let's talk about the stop loss versus stop limit. If you use a stop limit order, that is going to, if it hits it, then it's going to fill at that price, but it's only at that price. Okay. So remember, when we day trade, you want to use a stop loss order. And the difference is a stop limit, once it hits it, that order goes into place, but it's tied to that price. So if it goes blowing through your price, then you aren't going to be out of the position. With a stop loss or stop market, if you will, that means and that's what we use in trading. If when I say, hey, put the stop in at this so you minimize your losses, as soon as it hits it, it's going to execute. It's going to put a market order in, which means you're going to be out of the position. And that's what's called slippage. If you ever hear me talk about that term, is say you set a 10-cent stop and you hit that, it may, if you hit it pretty hard, i.e. the stock's in motion working against your trade, then it may actually cost you 11 cents by the time you sell out of that into your position. But the big part here is out. So that's why for your spreadsheets, however you track your trading, or if you simply use P&L, that's where you need to kind of realize you may have lost 1.05 R. So as far as your math, you need to go back and kind of check exactly what kind of R trade that was. That also works to the upside. So it can work to your advantage as well. If something's screaming higher and it hits the 3R stop and you go to sell out, you might get a 3.1 or 3.2 depending on how hard it hits it, right? So it can work both ways. But you want to make sure you have the stop loss order in there, not the stop limit. Now, I will say TD Ameritrade and Schwab use different terminologies, which isn't helpful. So anyhow, when everybody's over to Schwab, that'll be easier for me to address it specifically. Okay, you can do an all or none, which is where if you're in a penny stock like Luckin or you're over the counter and you want to buy 5,000 shares, well, if you start getting fancy and you put a limit order in and you only get filled, say 1,000 shares at a certain price, and then you change your order to move it a penny higher, well, that's $6.95 for the first order, and then you move your order a penny and you get hit again. So when you're in a penny stock, a lot of folks will just do an all or nothing. If you're buying 10,000 shares of something, just go, no, I want 10,000 shares and I want it at this price and I want all or none. I don't want to be at the end of the day with half a position. I want it all or none. So if it never hits its criteria, then you won't get it. So you're reducing the odds that you get it, but you get it at exactly your price and you get all of it if you want. So for those, I do have a couple clients that hit me up for putting in these off the wall, not off the wall, highly speculative positions, I should say. I kind of think they're off the wall a little bit, but client prerogative, right? It's like, I want to do this. It's like, okay, well, if you want to do that, here's how we do it to make sure we do it correctly. And that's an all or none. So, all right, that's all I've got since my screen bailed on me. So stop sharing there. So let's see. I saw Predator. Yeah, thanks for your comment there, saying making us some money in 2020, educating us and making it fun. No, I don't mean to be a commercial for Robinhood, but like I say to everybody out there, the winners are the people that invest, right? Not every day is an up day or down day, but generally, if you take up investing as a lifelong pursuit, you're going to have a lot more money, which it's not about the money, it's about quality of life, which equates to quality of life. You have a lot more freedom with what you can do for not only yourself, but your family, both older generations and younger generations, to make your life a little more pleasurable on our short term here on the planet. So with that, I'm gonna let you go for 2020 and we will catch you. You guys have a happy New Year's Eve. Be safe. Try to get off the roads as early as possible. It's still one of the worst nights to be out and about. So get home, get safe, spend some family time, and we will catch up with you guys in 2021. Have a good one.